Welcome to the 158th episode of News Dump, where we run through the hottest topics in the Lewis County news scene and discuss. It is Tuesday, September 26th. I'm local man Aaron VanTuyl, joined by Chronicle Editor-in-Chief Eric Schwartz, Chronicle Assistant Editor Isabel Vander, Stoep, and Chronicle Photo Editor Jared Wenzelburger. We're also joined in spirit by sponsors Summit Funding and the Roof Doctor. How is everybody?
Just great. Wonderful.
Excited for more soccer?
Oh, you know I love that youth soccer.
Woo.
It's my favorite thing to do.
You do seem to be attending a lot of youth soccer games. Do you have children?
I do. A boy and a girl.
Schwartz is like big time soccer dad right now.
They play every night. It's wild. So
Really every night.
even in the rain, people talk about soccer players being ninnies. It's not true.
Ty had a practice match over at Newaukum yesterday. He's playing high school golf. Mm-hmm. And they only got 3 holes in because it was dumping down rain so much that their coach actually took the cart out and was like, "Yeah, you guys can just call it. Like this is."
That was right. There's been some squalls that came through in the last 24 hours or so that were pretty wild.
Yeah. There was like thunder here for a second.
Yeah.
I have a serious note for a preamble, though. I want to thank community members who let us know about the news. It fuels a lot of what we do, including over the weekend when David Lee in PL sent us a magnificent photo of a tire pile.
Oh, I saw
and
that.
the message, "Long live the tire pile." So
Tiger pile?
Tiger pile would be even more interesting, just for
That'd
the
be
record.
sick.
But no, eyes and ears out there. If you see a tire pile, don't think. Just shoot it. Send us the photo.
If you see something, say something about tires.
I have to have us photoshopped into this one, maybe for the cover art this time.
Yeah.
All right. Any other preambles? Any other interesting stuff going on this weekend?
Weekend. It seems so far away right now.
So much
Country
time.
chicks at the fairgrounds.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Fun.
Cool.
Are you a country chick, Aaron?
No.
Yeah, you kind of, your
like you
house
could be.
decor looks like it was picked out there.
My house decor looks like it was picked out by a drunk 8th grader.
I don't feel like he has a single thing in his house that matches with a single other thing in his house.
all of his Marvel stuff.
Yeah, I got my comic book stuff. I got some cool Nikes up on the shelf.
Wolverine claws in there,
Yeah, I got a really big TV.
partially completed Rubik's Cube.
He has
got some
heated
furniture that was
bathroom floors.
given to
Those
me.
are pretty sick.
Yeah,
Old
yeah, those are
Four
nice.
Loko that's locked in his cabinet.
No, it's not locked. Could you not get the cabinet open? Like,
I tried so much.
You're going to pull that thing out someday, and it's going to be like refilled with water and crudely shut with a butter knife.
Tie.
yeah.
It was die.
All right, let's go on to the news. Our first item: State Supreme Court rules sheriff, not county commission chair, can authorize the use of tear gas. I had no idea this was in the court system or anything like that. But in theory, I guess this makes sense.
Yeah, I think it arose out of some of the criminal justice reforms immediately following George Floyd. And while it's Snaza versus State, I believe was the name of the case, he was kind of just one of the sheriffs that were involved in this. So
Yeah.
it has more far-reaching repercussions. But it makes sense to me. It seems like you would want your lead law enforcement man.
I remember when the story first came out.
Yeah.
Like that this was underway or it was something that he was at least focused on. But I completely forgot about it. And then here it is.
Do we have any idea when the last time anyone in Lewis County had to use tear gas was? Just for
No clue. No clue. I think Mitchell Rowland, who wrote this story, even asked, and there was no memory of it being used in a riot situation anyways.
I mean, do you guys have a memory of a riot situation in
No.
Lewis County?
I mean-
yeah.
Prison riots.
Yeah.
Tower crawl is pretty
riots.
crazy. It used to.
I've seen some fights
I
out
don't
there.
think that you would want to use tear gas indoors in the prison, though, because then, I don't know. I'm not a cop.
It helps to, I think, view this story through the lens of 2020. Like there was riots or protests, depending on what you want to call them, in Seattle and Portland at the time. I remember Walmart closing its doors at 5 o'clock and piling merchandise because they thought people were going to come break in here. So I think this was more in the heat of, every other week reports we were getting that Antifa was coming.
Yeah, and Antifa did show up every other week, right? It's still there's still somebody in Morton.
They're
just
waiting for us to drop our guard. So
yeah.
lingering right on the edge.
All right. Next item, Twin Transit board meeting set for Tuesday as investigation of director continues. That is tonight.
Happened.
It's already over.
All right. What happened?
I wish Mitchell was here to say exactly, but it sounds like there was going to be a verbal warning. The investigation is closed, and the verbal warning will last for 6 months. And yes, we did discuss what that means exactly.
Take a
We
deep
don't know
breath.
what it means. Do you keep talking for 6 months? Do you?
I
don't
thought
know.
maybe like they gave him a verbal warning, and they're like, "We're going to write that down," which would make it a written warning.
Right.
It's just
then
a warning.
It's no longer a verbal warning.
They verbally warn him every day for 6 months.
Every
They just said that
sure.
it would be on his record for 6 months. I don't know. Yeah, I don't
I don't want to say
understand.
too much on it. We can even save it for next week because
Yeah.
Joe Clark did talk to Mitchell, our reporter, about it. And so he's working on a story probably right now that might even be available later this evening, but definitely in the Thursday edition of the Chronicle.
Okay. Next item, bail set at $1 million for man found with up to 5,000 fentanyl pills in Chehalis. This gentleman's name was Waylon Graves. He's from Olympia. And JNet worked with Thurston County Narcotics Task Force and the DEA on this. They found between 4,700 and 5,000 pills in his car outside of Chehalis Hotel last week. In total, they tallied 28 grams of suspected meth, 26 grams of suspected heroin, 27 grams of suspected fentanyl powder, $2,800 in cash, hundreds of baggies, and other drug paraphernalia items were recovered. It's a lot of pills.
You forgot his middle name.
What's his middle name?
Puts him into.
What?
It was a poor joke. Waylon puts them into graves. It was
not.
it was a graves joke.
It's not funny. I'm sorry.
Boo, this woman.
I was just trying to, I don't know, make
Lighten
light
the
of a
mood.
very serious situation, I guess.
Good job by JNet. I always enjoy seeing thousands of fentanyl pills taken off the
I
streets.
bet you do.
I do. As
Hophead.
someone, I mean, I think everyone knows someone that's either overdosed or died from an overdose, and I'm certainly in that category. And also, JNet put out a press release after this story came out, and we included it in an update, but that this will not be the last arrest linked to the pills. They pretty strongly stated that there's going to be more to come. So,
I thought it was great that the court record said between 4,700 and 5,000, but then the news release said 4,700. Like they were being conservative about the like flexing. You know what I mean?
it could be.
At least that's kind of how I saw it. But yeah, I put in a note about the story from this week also that annual overdose deaths in Lewis County have reached an all-time high for like any year of any time. And I just thought that was like relevant, especially with what you were just saying, Eric. And
With 3 months left in the year, 3 months plus.
Right.
Yeah, the number is 38 people in Lewis County have died from overdoses since New Year's Day. That's 6 more than the worst entire year on record, and it's only September. The previous all-time high was 2020, and it was tied again in 2021, each with 32 overdose deaths.
And Jared, you just spoke with somebody from Core Health.
Yeah, Core Health in Centralia. I just talked to somebody this weekend, and they said that there had been no heroin involved cases within the last 8 months. It's just all been fentanyl. So it's here, it's in the system, and Core Health actually mentioned that police here are actually following through with tracking down the people who are supplying these drugs to the streets. And that's something that's not happening everywhere. So they were also very appreciative of the work that local law enforcement are doing.
And JNet is the Centralia Police Department, the DEA, the Chehalis Police Department. Combination of those does not include the Lewis County Sheriff's Office, as has been well documented. And aside from that, I agree with what Jared just said. It's nice to read the affidavits of probable cause when they're going from like the scene of an overdose to immediately jumping on, well, where did the pill come from, and tracking it. Like,
Yeah.
like extremely proactive. Like,
And when you hear these stories about like people who are getting charged with like substance homicides or something, like I provided a friend with this pill and then she died or whatever. Like, I mean, obviously there has to be some level of accountability for that as well. And I but they just make me so sad whenever I see that, because obviously, the person who obtained that pill and gave it to their friend or whatever is not usually the cause of that. So then when we actually see these releases where there's like serious seizure of like thousands of pills, I mean, that's just, you can't help but be like proud and thankful.
The one related line of recent stories we've had is the kids getting a haul of fentanyl. And news happens like this sometimes, but something happens once and you're like, oh my God, that's terrible. And then it happens like 3 or 4 more times. But we had the Pierce County father, I believe, that went to sleep with his kid in his lap, an infant, and had been using fentanyl, presumably, and then the baby died. There was the case in Portland that the Oregonian reported where there was a kid in a parking lot and a passerby noticed that he was like not responsive whatsoever, and thankfully that child lived, but another one in Wenatchee, all in the last week. So
Jeez.
Yeah, we just had a story also on the same paper when this news came out, but about a documentary that was shown at McFiler's Chehalis Theater called Love in the Time of Fentanyl. And then a couple like local harm reduction people spoke in a panel. And one of the things that was said by Brooke Reeder, who runs the Gathered Church Suboxone program, was just like, there's still a lot of stigma about who uses drugs and who gets addicted to them. But nowadays, like when we're talking about the fentanyl crisis, we're talking about stuff that is affecting like schools and children in schools and like every person. Like it's just so ubiquitous and present right now that like it has to be something that people of every kind are aware of.
And it's been documented in the jails and in Green Hill as well.
Yep.
So some people had mentioned like getting people off the streets and in jail is helping as well. But if it's in the jail systems as well, that's a whole nother problem.
that's a good point.
It's true.
All right, moving on. Next headline. Recent scam involves person posing as Lewis County Sheriff's Office employee. Sheriff's Office warns. Callers tell people the scam call people tell people they're calling that they're missing jury duty or there's a warrant out for their arrest. The would-be victim said they knew it was a scam when the callers claimed they had solved a murder.
You know what's funny? I read this copy when Emily turned it in, and I immediately knew you were going to make that exact joke. Like without any sort of additional context. I was
So
like,
funny.
that's what's going to happen there. But your point is taken.
That's really funny.
Well taken.
Before we move on from this, I just wanted to say that there's one thing I know isn't a scam. And it's that the roof doctor will give you a free estimate on your roof. Whenever you need repairs, they will come and make a house call to you, check it out, let you know how much it's going to cost. And they'll try to work within your budget too.
Do you have any contact info for the roof doctor, or are you just going to throw that out there?
I know that you have it memorized, and I don't.
You can call the roof doctor at 360-736-0246 locally, or you can visit them online at www.theroofdoctor.com.
Thank you.
Next item.
I'm sorry.
Contractually obligated, my
just trying
friend.
to help.
And it's a hell of a roof.
No, love the roof doctor.
Up to a 50-year warranty.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still going, huh?
Who even needs a 50-year warranty?
Is it a 50-year
trust the
warranty,
roof
or they've
doctor
been
at their
locally
word.
owned for 50 years?
All I
It's
need is a
both.
handshake from Ken.
They've been locally owned for more than 50 years. 59 would be closer to
65?
Yeah.
Next news item. Lewis County adopts preemptive resolution against future mask requirements.
You
It's
didn't
good.
have enough fun with this last week?
I mean, I was going to skip it, but you know what? We gotta dive
We
into
just
it.
got to, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to do the humanitarian one.
No, I skipped that one. It's good to know that the commissioners reviewed the lack of effort they put into addressing COVID and decided, look, if an easily spreadable virus ever shows up again, don't worry. We found a way to do even less about it.
Real news before I'm stepping on your bits purposely.
Go ahead.
King 5 followed up our report and included the governor's office, which stated pretty flatly that that's great, but if there was a mandate, it would be a state mandate. It would supersede the Lewis County mandate.
And also that there's none planned.
And also that there's none planned. That's
Yes.
Go on, King.
Yeah. So, like, you having pointed that out. So, if they did go through with this and try this with the state mandate in place, it would simply mean that if push came to shove, the state would just pull funding, and then all the self-gifted 10% raises in the world won't make a difference.
You just live in this matrix of Lewis County commissioners' facts. You just like move around like Neo, bending it to your will.
This is all, of course, just a stunt because the commissioners can't actually accomplish anything. It's like when you ask a reporter what they've got from the next paper story-wise, and they stammer and then offer up some pictures they took of like a bird or a sunset or something.
I feel like he's just attacking you
You're
right
attacking us right now. Our readers love those
Those are
photos.
valued.
They sure do.
Watch your
As I
mouth.
put in the notes, as the resident bird or the sunset or something reporter, I feel personally attacked.
Yes, and much like the people impressed by this motion from the county commissioners, people who can't read, they're very impressed.
You're insulting a lot of people. I don't want mask
We like
mandates.
pictures.
Do you want one? Are you like craving a mask mandate?
No, I'm not craving a mask mandate. I'm pointing out how pointless the whole thing is.
Aaron
Stew at your
loves
desk at the
mask
state and like
mandates.
one day we'll strap those masks back on those sheeple.
We sure, yes, sheeple. Yeah. Part of Commissioner Sean Swope's column about this was quoted in the story. He wrote, "These policies were the cause of personal tragedies. A single mom nurse found herself needing to relocate to preserve her livelihood. A firefighter had to alter his career path drastically to safeguard his family's home, among countless other heart-wrenching narrative," he wrote. Those aren't personal tragedies. They're just dumb decisions. If I went to work without pants on and said it was my inalienable right to flop my balls out in the office, I'd lose my job. And that would be 100% my fault. And just like these, quote, heart-wrenching narratives he made up, it's 100% avoidable.
So you think those two are the same, or you're saying it for comedic relief?
I'm saying it for comedic relief.
Okay, comedic.
Yes,
I just wanted to make sure you didn't think that a mask and pants are equivalent.
One of them is actually important to me doing my job. Yes.
Your mask?
Pants.
I just like what gets me about this is still just like the hyper politicization of COVID and how we're still like really railing from that. But imagine, for example, if there was like an Ebola outbreak here. Like, wouldn't you be welcoming a mask mandate? Or at least wouldn't you tell county employees, like, please wear your mask if you're going to come to work, right? Like, I just think it's so hyper specific to this time. And if you were to ever look back on it, you would not really get that, I think. And yeah, I don't know. It just concerns me for like the actual health implications in case there was ever something that really needed it.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're absolutely right.
And I agree with you guys, but I'm going to say that I do think that sometimes you, Aaron, and people of your ilk don't really take into account that it was traumatic for people who didn't want to wear masks too sometimes. Like people moved across the country for jobs, like because they didn't want to get a shot, they didn't feel good about it. Like I just think like completely minimizing their concerns and I don't think it does a whole lot of good. I would agree that it doesn't seem like this has a whole lot of a point other than maybe politics, I guess, like political points. But like it did suck for people that didn't want to wear masks and get vaccines too. And I don't like write them off at large as being bad people or unreasonable.
When was the county's vaccine mandate put into place?
I believe there was a state mandate.
They never had one.
But there was a state mandate.
For state employees,
right?
Not county employees.
I'm sure there's
yes.
plenty of Lewis County residents who worked at the state. We know of some of them. One of them is a Lewis County commissioner now who lost their jobs because they didn't want to get a shot that they didn't
lose
feel
their
good
jobs.
about.
They just gave their jobs
They
up.
lost their jobs because they didn't feel comfortable doing something. And I think that's wrong. And I think I say it all the time, but I think it's like we all just want to pretend like the last 3-4 years was normal. There was nothing normal about that. Like nothing.
Yeah.
Abnormal.
I also am of the general feeling 90% of the time that I don't want the government to tell me what to do with my body or my health. And I think like that's most people feel that way about most things.
Surely our county commissioners would agree with you as a woman doing that.
But I just feel like like I said, it's just so hyper specific, but there could be actual times in the future. I mean, with more globalization, we will only have more pandemics as the world goes on. That's just like pretty much a well-documented fact. And so we're just like so hyper focused on like how COVID has changed the landscape. And that's fair because it has been traumatic and it has been awful for everybody, no matter what. But it's like, we can't just like say, well, public health like directives are bad like that. We just can't do that, especially when you're the commissioners who are asking your health officer to make public health directives so that you can sweep homeless camps. Like, you can't just say, we want it for this thing, and then when it doesn't align with your politics, we don't want it for that thing.
Oh, they've been doing that with the First Amendment for the last month, though.
I feel like they can say it, and there's political points to be scored, but I think underlying point is that it doesn't hold water at the end of the day, and I tend to agree with that, but...
I've said it before, but it's just such a waste of time. Like, what are they actually doing it there? They just roll into their meeting every day and sit down and like, here's what I heard on Fox News this morning, and I'm going to make a resolution about it.
You sound like a man who would be in favor of a part-time council position type commissioner situation, you know, maybe 5 counselors paid part-time and then they don't need to score as many political points. And maybe like a fan of the home rule charter the Chronicle editorial board was pushing in 2018.
I think that would have been just
I think that
fine.
might eliminate some of that. I haven't seen anyone come to a Centralia City Council meeting or a Chehalis City Council meeting and demand a mask mandate ban. So
yeah,
there's that.
I just be less political. Do something that actually matters. Like,
I don't necessarily disagree.
Accomplish a thing.
I was befuddled editing the story, I don't know how many weeks ago that was, of the email signature policy. Like, I just didn't understand why we were all in this moment. Why am I editing this? Why did a reporter write this? Why did this come up? Like, I was confused. It wasn't like me taking a side, just confused. So in that way, I understand what you're saying.
It's one of those meetings that could have been a phone call.
Yeah, it could have been just a bad idea. It could have been an idea that came up and then everybody moved along.
Yeah, no, that's more fair.
But I guess some people care about that stuff, though, Aaron.
I just feel like there's more important things. Any other news items?
You know what's more important? The roof doctor.
Oh, we already did it.
I'm just kidding.
I want to ask Aaron on the spot.
It is.
Sure.
Because you've been asked before, it wouldn't be untoward. If you were a Lewis County Commissioner, what would your focus be? Like, if you, what issues would you want to bring up? And I'm just putting this on a tee for you, but...
the big, like, in this current day and age,
just
holding everybody accountable in the same way.
Got ya.
Everybody.
So that'd be like
Carol Brock,
insurance.
Joe Clark, Rob Snaza, Roger Morningstar. If their names get brought up at a meeting, you address it in the exact same manner across the board.
no him and Han.
No hemming and hawing. No, like,
chest
we can't talk about Roger Morningstar, but he was late for those meetings, so we had to get him off the advisory board.
I was going to say housing.
That's what I thought he was going to say.
Super important also. But I mean, that's one that comes to mind first. It's just like common sense, like looking at an issue that comes up at a meeting, being like, does this actually fucking matter?
Hey, we're going easy on the curse words there, big guy.
The commissioners have said that there will be no infringement of free speech. I could say that in a meeting, and they couldn't do anything.
I really thought your answer was going to be to impose a mask mandate.
No.
Day one. It's flu season, people. Strap up.
I'm going to force you to put your pronouns in your email signature.
Yes. Look, it's just like, if
Make a decision.
If you want pronouns or don't want them, then like, who gives a shit? Who cares? If I have to read
I'm
2
with
extra
you.
words in somebody's email signature, it does not bother me.
Yeah, I get it.
The spirited debate we're having today.
All right.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, yeah. I don't know. Just do something that matters. That's all I ask of anybody. You guys ready to take an ad break?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Jeff and Julie from Fairway Lanes.
Jeff and I met JSIC of Summit Funding at our bowling center, so when we fell in love with this community and it was time to relocate, we knew we would be calling Summit Funding.
They understand that everyone has a unique situation when buying a home.
He had already helped 2 of our employees get into their own homes. The Summit Funding team exceeded our expectations. It was a seamless experience with great communication from his whole team.
Thank you to Summit Funding for making our buying experience special and memorable.
All right, we're back. Time for segments. First up is Tales from the Takes page, and Eric Schwartz has a take.
I don't have a take. I just have this is when you're done with this podcast, just go to chronline.com, click on opinion at the top, and you're going to have a column from Chad Taylor, publisher and co-owner of the Chronicle. He wrote what I thought was an enjoyable and, I don't know, a little punchy response to PUD Commissioner Mike Hadler and his claims that Chad Taylor has made over $100,000 a year off of his relationship with the Economic Alliance of Lewis County.
Oh, I just am sure that isn't true. That's just a lie.
I would have a lot nicer camera if that were true.
It's entertaining. Mike Hadler is, and I'm going to keep this as the very high version. If you feel like reading it, you can. There's plenty of places to find it. But he opposes the proposed hydrogen plant out on TransAlta land. He sent a letter to the editor, which I published. There was nothing problematic in it. He had strong opinions in opposition. Then a second letter came that had more issues than I could rectify. Like, it was factually incorrect on 6 different counts, so I didn't publish it. And then a third letter arrived today in which it went from Chad Taylor has made tens of thousands of dollars off of the alliance to over $100,000.
Oh my gosh.
And so that letter will not run as well. And it's not because I want to hide. It's well documented. The Silver Agency is also owned by Chad and Corley Taylor.
What?
They've been doing business for nearly 20 years. And as Chad put it in his column, Chad's done business with half of Lewis County. If we were going to start putting disclaimer on everything, it would be on every story for the most part.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's just to highlight it. He had some fun with it, and I'll make sure that goes live before this podcast does.
This is something that this is a conversation I've had with well-intentioned people many times. People who've asked about, why isn't there a disclaimer on this because the Silver Agency did business with so-and-so or whatever. The real true answer is that we have no idea who Chad has done business with. Why would the newsroom want to know that? It would sooner ruin the way and taint the way that we do our reporting and how we try to do it as unbiased as possible. If Chad were to come back every single time he knows we have a story that we're working on and say, by the way, that was a client of mine, he would never do that. He just would not do that. And it is better for us that he doesn't.
Yeah, it's something that's never going to go away, and I knew it from the moment the Taylors took interest in purchasing us that would be a continued line of attack because it's a easy line of attack. If you disagree with something Chad says, you just claim that it's a business interest because he has a lot of business interests, and then that's that. You can just do that, and that'll never go away. But I don't know. Today I got that letter. I immediately asked him, "Hey, did you guys make $100,000?" And the response was a hearty chuckle and laugh, and he was like, "No, let me go take a look at the books."
And then he was like, "Actually, it was $600,000."
It's not that he hasn't done business. I mean, they built DiscoverLewisCounty.com. They built the Economic Alliance of LewisCounties.com. But the effort to take that and then string it together with 3 or 4 other things that aren't factual, and then it's a line in his column. It's thumbtacks on a wall, and he's just connecting all these yarns to everything that Chad's ever done, and just see, told you. And I'm sure that resonates with some people. The letter that will not be published by us was published by the publication formerly known as the Town Crier, which you will remember, Aaron, made us the first legally recognized podcast in all of Lewis County.
That's right. Yeah.
Last time we said how much we hated it. I mean, and then they publish things that are wrong, and they publish their employees' thoughts and prayers on the front page every week.
I don't know. The idea of Richard just slipping Chad a briefcase full of cash is kind of
I know,
hilarious.
it's enticing. I like to imagine that they're on Let's Talk About It, and he moves it with his foot while they're talking about the stuff, and Chad secures it.
There's no one else in the room anyways, but they still do it like that.
And just that anybody has any thought that has any effect on us here in the newsroom. We don't even know about it until they comment it. And it's oh, I didn't even realize
Chad generally doesn't know what's in the newspaper until it's in the newspaper.
Until it's published.
And I
He
don't
reads the
listen to Let's Talk
after.
About It. And I don't read the Silver Agency's business transactions.
And also, the reporters aren't all from Lewis County. Do you think Mitchell knows who Chad has done business with or cares?
No way.
He just got here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I get how people get there. There's been very well-meaning people, like Isabel alluded to.
Well-intentioned.
Yeah, that they reach out and they just think, you're not being fair because you didn't mention this. And it's the silver agency's been in business for decades, like, and he's owned it or he and Coralie have owned it for nearly 2 decades, and it's probably the biggest marketing firm in town, so of course.
But hear me
All
out.
the story when
What
they
if-
bought the Chronicle.
What if, for Chronicle new employee orientation, Chad sat them down in a dark room with a PowerPoint going and just clicked through slides of himself, like
These are the people I like, and
like
these are
in
the people
hot tubs
I
with
don't.
various business leaders smoking cigars and passing $100 bills back and forth? Like, it'd be pretty sick.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah.
Anyways,
Honestly,
I was saying, it's
And
a
here's
fun.
me with the guy that owns Arby's.
Some of those interactions that I've had with people have been the ways that I've learned about the fact that this person did stuff through the Silver Agency. I can tell you that, like, I am on the board of the Lewis County Tennis Association. I paid for them
Sick brag.
no, it's not that at all. I paid for them to get a website through the Silver Agency because that's the people who can make a website in Lewis County. There's not a lot of options, and they did a great job, but it's like it's so silly. I don't know. I mean, that's just where they are the point people for marketing here, and that's pretty well established.
I need to go back to the mask thing real quick. I wanted to say...
Here we are.
I just wanted to quickly say that I would love to see what Isabel's stance was on mask mandates if the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife was handing them out.
Oh, that's really
I feel like
funny.
you would show up with the cutout hole for your mouth, but wearing the mask.
Yeah, that's actually like fair. I think it.
They're out there putting masks on deer and shit.
I think I have like a weird thing about that. Like, I think I should
Oh, it's
maybe
not weird.
talk.
It's justified.
It prevents hoof rot, Aaron.
I should like talk to a psychologist about why I hate Fish and Wildlife so much. I just like to poach. Not really.
Any other tales from the Six page?
No,
Or is
there's some
that-
good letters on there. We've had some good stuff recently. If you want to read the whole ordeal with Hadler and hydrogen, you could work your way down the opinion page on cronline.com and find a few different entries on it. And yeah, no, I think that's it. The most popular letter of late was, am I the only one who cares about the Fort Borst blockhouse?
The answer was yes.
From Greg Isaacson. It was no. If you saw the comments, lots of people cared about it.
Oh, we've got one of those comments in comments
All
of the
right.
week. Don't
He's
worry.
been beating this drum for a while, though, and I actually appreciate it. I think the Fort Worth Blockhouse is very cool and that it should be protected.
All right, we're going to burn through a Sirens Banger of the Week. September 21st, a woman in Chehalis called to ask for help with her 13-year-old grandson who, quote, won't get up for school, advising, quote, she was going to pour water on him, but he won't listen. During the call, the woman discovered her grandson had, in fact, gotten up and left on a bicycle. She didn't know where he went.
That was a day full of juvenile issues. There was also
Yeah.
a girl on West Reynolds who did $1,000 in damage to a home, and yeah, there's a lot of juvenile problems.
She broke one single window.
I almost called this edition of Sirens "The Kids Are Not All Right," but I didn't.
I mean, I feel like you should.
All right, People's Champion of the Week. We've got a few entries. Isaac Flores, the Centralia boy whose contest-winning art appears on Timberland Regional Library cards, is one of them. He is 10 years old in 4th grade at Rochester Elementary and is good at art.
It's a good one. I liked that one a lot.
I
Okay.
did too. Really sweet boy.
We've also got Lewis County engineer Tim Fife, who retired after 40 years in public service, although only 10 of them were in Lewis County. So it's going to be a tough,
It's going to count against him that he didn't stay in Lewis County his entire life.
yes, tough
How I
sledding for
view
Tim
those
Fife.
people.
And then we have Toledo High School's Chris Harvey, who is 17 years old and sank his 2,000th shot from half court during an assembly in Toledo last week.
I loved that one. Jared's live
So
video
good.
of that was so good. I watched it, and he missed the first several, so I was like, please let it make it. And then he did. It was great, but yeah, that guy would be a good a ring announcer. He was very good.
Keep going through the stats, though. It's so great.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's see. During last school year, he banked 1,787 half-court shots, a fact the crowd applauded when he took the mic before his shot. Last year, on the final day of school, he made more than 70 in one day.
Yeah, this kid's like a
He just
real
throws them.
baller.
He goes granny style, too. That was one thing that surprised me.
Yeah.
Between the 2000 and
shit.
2016 seasons, players in the NBA attempted 6,255 shots from half court and made 165 of them, a success rate of 2.64%. Seattle's own Jamal Crawford and Steph Curry are tied for the most half court shots during regulation in NBA history at 6.
I was really impressed by Mitchell's stats that he pulled on this.
Yeah, he did a nice job.
He did a good job. And we just shared this afternoon, the Toledo School District shared a photo of Chris holding up the front page, very excited like. And just love that story. I kind of wondered what was going on because we obviously follow all the local school districts and they would just throw it up as matter of fact. He hit shot number 1,500 or whatever. And I'm like, what is going on? Like,
No.
And then credit to their principal. I believe it was the Toledo High School principal. He reached out to us a couple weeks ago to let us know he was approaching this. And so we've been like on call waiting for him to give us a buzz and let us know that it's happening.
I loved those stats too. I just thought it was so nicely done. Like, it really illustrates well how impressive this is, and like in a serious way impressive.
All right. Do you have a winner? Anybody?
I'm going with both Isaac Flores and Chris Harvey.
It's a tie. Sorry, Tim Fife.
Sorry,
You've
Tim.
done great.
You did a good job.
I hope retirement is reward enough for you.
Finalist for Champion of the Week. Pretty big
Yeah,
deal.
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Villain of the week. Beaver eyed his suspect in Centralia fire Friday afternoon.
First of all, this is hilarious. And second of all, you just need the context because I put a couple Facebook comments in the week on it. And like I don't think there is a single person who didn't think this was funny.
Yeah,
Even
there
though
was
it's a
no
fire?
negative Nancy's on that one.
Yeah, I know. Even though it's a fire, we're still just like, beaver.
I talked to the Riverside firefighters there, and they were like, I don't know what to say. It was a beaver, and he did it. Like, that was definitely the reason.
Where is Prophet Road? Off the top of my head, it's not.
It's out
Yeah, I didn't know
towards,
either.
kind of near Centralia Alpha. So you keep going out that road.
Okay, all right.
Salzer
Yeah,
Valley.
there's a
Salzer Valley
sign.
Road. Yep, you
Okay,
follow
cool.
Salzer Valley
Okay.
out.
Okay. All right. Yeah, pretty wild. Comments of the week. On Kyle Markstrom's commentary about Winco and Peter Lamont, this commenter says, I am confused. They say it is a port and I do not see any water. Where is the water in the land that border it? I live in the country, so I guess I do not matter, but I was hoping for a Fred G. Meyer. Better products and services. We have a Walmart with a grocery store.
I love that comment.
And then another comment, Schwartz, you may want to gird your ears.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
listeners, if you have children around.
There's
Yeah.
going to be some cursing, but it's still pretty funny.
This commenter says, give us our fucking Winco for fuck's sake. No more car lots or fast food. Fucking dare licks.
I don't like the language.
I like the spelling of I think you meant to say
Derelicts.
derelicts.
I saw that too.
good.
I like how
Siri, am I right?
I just
How
like how
aggressively
impassioned
angry he
it
was
is.
about a Winco.
People want their Winco, man.
Yeah.
I want a Winco.
Yeah, I bet you do.
It's just
Give it to us.
it's just so out of pocket.
On something Jay Inslee did, this commenter says, this is the kind of things you get when people vote for a candidate that couldn't make a living as a ambulance chaser. Shots fired at personal injury attorneys. I hope this guy doesn't Google our locally elected representatives.
No need to drag him into this.
Just saying.
Was that on the 9/11 memorial?
I do not recall. On the fentanyl bust, this commenter says, similar to COVID-19 virus, the fentanyl epidemic seems to reek of, quote, population control strategy orchestrated by the, quote, untouchables of Fauci, Gates, Chinese government, etc. Why with all the quotes? With the ease of availability in the country, why else would people continue to use fentanyl, a proven killer? I don't know what he's getting at.
It's extremely addictive qualities.
And cheap?
This is
Well, obviously,
just
Bill Gates started fentanyl.
this is just a severe misunderstanding of science in the most basic of forms.
Yeah.
I do agree that the fentanyl thing is like, I mean, it is literally having an effect on population.
Yes.
So I don't think it's a population control strategy, but it definitely is putting a hole there.
And yes, similar to a virus, it is an epidemic. Like referring to it that way is correct. And yeah, but I mean, it's whatever.
On the story about Sean Swope deciding against more restrictions on charities, this commenter says, now the count is 6 this week. Did he buy the Chronicle from John Braun or something? Haven't seen his name for a while.
Well, we got one in unedited right now, a John Braun story just for you, King.
I thought it was funny. Did he buy the Chronicle from John Braun? Good thing. And letter.
As if he could afford it from Chad. Chad gets $100,000 a year just from
Well,
the
From the
alliance.
EDC. Oh, I keep calling it that still.
Everybody does.
I've been
It's
broken.
fine.
No, it's the alliance. I don't even remember when it's the EDC.
Letter, am I the only one who cares about the Fort Borst blockhouse? This commenter says, understand what and why this is happening, people. It is called demolition by neglect and is intentional as a means to destroy and cancel history. Who has oversight responsibilities for this structure? Centralia City leftists with a leftist agenda. What do you expect? These people are intentionally stealing your heritage, history, and implementing their leftist agenda at every level. Lewis County is being overrun with these people, and they want it to be the same as the sewer they left to get here. Ironic, isn't it? I don't think that's ironic by definition.
Well, it's
So
Sewer
confused
City,
as to how you
Centralia.
could get to that.
I also just really enjoy, I always give you a hard time for giving a tone to all these comments, but I like to imagine that that's how this was written.
Oh, yeah.
By candlelight and just very intensely.
It's a guy that's meet me in a dark parking lot, and they'll tell you why the Fort Borst blockhouse isn't being fixed.
The Fort Borst Blockhouse is cool, though, and I
It
do
is
think
cool.
that they
And
should
also,
do something.
rather than a dark parking lot, you could just go to the Fort Borst blockhouse. It's out there. It's dark.
That's true.
It's just wild to me to imagine who you would have to be to think Lewis County is being overrun by people with leftist agendas at every level.
It came out of the sewer.
The spectrum has also widened, so it's easier to look to the left now.
Yeah.
See farther.
Yeah, I guess, if you got that far.
I just don't want to take away from Greg Isaacson's letter because I do enjoy when someone takes everyone's attention with their own letter and moves it to something else. And so a lot of people are talking about the Borst blockhouse that weren't talking about it before he wrote his letter.
This
But I
comment,
agree, it's a bit out there.
It's a bit out there, but I like this letter.
this comment implies that Centralia is intentionally not funding the blockhouse, when Centralia has also not funded a pool and its schools and dozens of other things that people actually use. The blockhouse is cool, but nobody's having a pool party in there.
Those don't matter like the blockhouse does. Come on.
Also, it's still there. You can just go look at it.
It's rotting,
It's
Aaron.
free.
It needs to be placed next to
No
the
shit, it's
Borst
rotting. It's
home.
200 years old.
Destruction by neglect.
History.
The Beavers
Heritage.
did it.
I just want to say that should I ever live in Lewis County and not be working at the Chronicle, if they don't give me a job as a columnist, I will write a letter about, am I the only one who cares about this thing every week?
Every week it'll be a tennis court.
Yeah, pretty much.
On the story about the beaver fire, the first one is Oregon State going to compensate us for the tree. Send it was a beaver that destroyed the tree and the cost to put the power lines in place and the cost of putting out the fire. It sounds like Ralph Wiggum wrote it.
They were making a fun joke about Oregon State.
an OSU
It's a good
joke.
joke. Get K9 on the trail. He needs to face justice or at least get a fine. Yeah,
There's
beavers
also a
can
little,
cause havoc,
justice
ending
emoji.
flooding. Yeah, the scales of justice. When asked if he started the fire, the beaver responded, nah.
With a G. No, that's good. That's good.
really good.
That's Pete commenting right there.
And then one lonely beaver sympathizer said, I'll help hide him. Agreed. let the beaver live his life, man. Leave him alone.
He started a fire, Aaron.
He just cut some
Am
stuff
I the
down.
only
He's a
one
beaver.
who imagined Bane Beaver after this?
Oh,
Like beaver
fire
with a
rises.
I was born in the darkness.
Yeah, you're the only one.
I'm sure.
Yeah, pretty good. Anything coming in the next edition?
Oh, there's lots of good stuff in the next edition. But you caught us a pretty good time because usually we have these on deadline days. So go to cronline.com and you can read lots of other news. We had the UFO saucer party in Chehalis, which I thought was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, we got some content from the Nisqually Valley News this week. We've got a Thurston County resident who is going to be on Lego Masters, the series, which is pretty cool. And she didn't start building with Lego until last December. So
Wow.
How old is this person?
she's the assistant. I don't know. She's a substitute teacher in the Yelm School
so
District.
an adult.
So yeah,
There's
I don't-
also Thurston County Sheriff fires another employee for sexual harassment.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Some big ticket items coming up
Shout
in the
out
next
Eric
paper.
Sanders.
That's out of the Olympian. They also had a good story. I thought it was a good story on Derek Sanders and his criticism of Thurston County judges for no bail releases. In their sister paper, the Olympian sister paper, the News Tribune did a companion story with Pierce County today, which I thought was good. And then we have Adna Car Show organizers donate nearly $30,000 for Adna scholarships. That's new today. And then, there's just loads of stuff on Cronline. Check it out.
Pincho
All right.
Partners?
Yeah, Pincho Partners. We got pumpkin patches opening. It's not a drill, Aaron.
Oh,
It was a good Tuesday paper.
It is. And if you see a tire pile, do
Take a
something
picture.
about it. Take a picture, send it to us.
don't light it
beautiful
on
time
fire
here in
until
Lewis
you have
County.
your camera ready.
Better yet, bring it to us.
And then take
bring
another
us the
picture.
entire thing.
Yeah. We're sponsored by Summit Funding and the Roof Doctor. Leave a review and rating on Apple Podcast if you want. Makes no difference to me. We have had several lately, so I'm happy. All right. Thanks.